recording.
Okay, all right.
Let's see if it will kick in though. Yep.
All right. Well, this will show up in the Skype thing. So anyway, today is Sunday. Uh, what? November the 5th, something like that. 6th. I don't know. So it's 10 o'clock in the morning or so for UK time, and 4 in the afternoon here. And Dean just asked for us to talk about the seven factors of enlightenment, or the Sambojjhanga. So, the first thing that I would like to point out, surprisingly enough, starting with the Sutra number 10, the Satipatthana Sutta, that the seven factors of enlightenment are mentioned right after the five hindrances are mentioned as mind objects. Okay, we have the body, we have the feelings, we have the mind as a state, and then we have mental objects or thoughts. And that the way that we all get started is to remove the hindrances from the mind. That's very clear evidence in many, many suttas that that's the case. The first thing that we have to do is to clear the hindrances out of the mind. I know that the Mahasi people will come on and say, oh no, you're not supposed to clear those hindrances out. You're supposed to let them fester and burst out like a boil, and then they'll just wipe themselves away. And the answer to that, yeah, you can stay that sick that long if you want to, but it may be a good idea to go ahead and push a pimple when you see it rather than let it grow into a monster. And this is the whole point about the five hindrances, is that we need to remove them whenever we see them. This is what we're practicing for, is to wake up, take a look at what's going on, and then remove the hindrances. So now that we've got that, and by the way, that's in many suttas, including implying it in the Satipatthana Sutta number 10. The first thing is to remove the hindrances. And then the next thing that we would do is, after the mind is cleaned out and is all wholesome and everything, then what are the wholesome things that we're going to be paying attention to? And the answer to that is, well, one of the things that we know for sure that is wholesome is the noble Dhamma. When the Dhamma is noble, it's wholesome. And the seven factors of awakening seems to be fitting right on that list. In fact, in the Sutta number 10 in the Majjhima Nikaya, in the Satipatthana Sutta, it gives them in order of the hindrances are to be removed. And then um, I think it's the five aggregates come next, in the sense of figuring out what we are not. We are not the body. Body gets old. You can't stop the body from getting old. If the body was really you, you'd just be whatever age you want to be. You'd be a changeling if you were the body. But we have very little control over the body, which means it's not ours, etc. The whole five factors, the body, the feeling, the consciousness, the being awake, all of our memory systems, all the way that we perceive and put things together, none of that is, in fact, stationary and a fixed individual. Everything is constantly in flux. And so this is one of the things then in the Satipatthana Sutta for us to start looking at. That in fact Mahasi really wants us to pay attention to the fact that everything is kind of in a flux. Nothing is fixed. Everything is in movement. And so two more items that is on that list of things to pay attention to is the Sambojjhana and the Eightfold Noble Path. Now, the Eightfold, or actually the Four Noble Truths in general, to pay attention to the Four Noble Truths, most specifically in one of the sutras, number 2, it says that if you pay attention strictly to the Four Noble Truths, and only the Four Noble Truths, in the sense of right now, this is dukkha. Right now, this is the cause of dukkha. Right now, this is the end of dukkha, when I apply the Eightfold Noble Path right now. But in fact, this Sutra number 2, the Asava Sutra, says that if we pay attention to the Four Noble Truths in that way, immediately we will come out of the dukkha into the Third Noble Truth right then and there so that we can see these various parts of our mind, like the parent, the adult, and the child. We can actually see that we give ourselves either nurturing or criticism. We see how we feel about that. We begin to notice these things by observation. So this is that. Now, here's the point that's really interesting about the 7 factors of enlightenment being on that list of things to pay attention to, because there's kind of a secret in there. And the secret is that the Eightfold Noble Path is the path or the mechanism for the beginner to take up. And the 7 factors of enlightenment is when those very same skills are manifest, then that's the 7 factors of enlightenment. So the Eightfold Noble Path and the 7 factors of enlightenment are the same thing. And that we can see that in the list of them. What are the 7 factors of enlightenment? We've been talking for quite a while, and I haven't even started on the first one yet. But I want to put it into the context that there's nothing really fancy or mystical about the 7 factors of awakening or the 7 factors of enlightenment, but rather they're just merely the development of the skills that are found on the Eightfold Noble Path. So, the first item on the list of the 7 factors of awakening is referred to as unremitting sati. Unremitting sati doesn't mean permanently glued there. Think of more like the Energizer Bunny, the battery, and they go bang, 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 bang. Okay, that's the way that we want our sati to operate. And the best way to think of it is that it's there when we need it the most. If we don't need the sati, we're good to go. There's no problem. But as soon as we need it, if it's there, that's the unremitting quality to it, that it's going to be there when we need it. And we have to develop it as a skill. And once the skill is already then developed, we would refer to it as unremitting sati. How does that operate then? The answer is anytime an unwholesome thought comes up, if the unremitting sati is actually unremitting, that unwholesome thought will be seen as, yes, that's an unwholesome thought, because we remember to take a look. Long time we can think about something and not have to worry about dukkha or anything, but when a suspicious thought comes up, that's when we're going to, all right, let's get into gear, let's look at this thing, let's figure out what it is, and if it's dukkha, let's throw it out. Now, one of the biggest problems with Western mindset is that we have the delusion of a clock. A clock is delusional. We know that clocks are delusional. For one thing, the Buddha didn't have one. Didn't have clocks way back when. That in fact, the best that they could possibly do is figure out when is noon and when is sunrise and sunset. Other than that, we don't really have a clue unless we put these kind of things together. But the point is that we think that sati has to do with scheduling time to sit down and practice it. And that may be good in the situation of developing it as a skill. But as it develops as a skill, you're going to start waking up more and more throughout the day to the kinds of things that you should be waking up to. But this is the practice of when you actually see unwholesome stuff come by, wake up and then recognize for sure that's unwholesome. Okay? So, in fact, I should put the next one in line together. The second item on the Sambojjhanga is unremitting investigation of the states of mind. We've been there before. That's what right noble view is. Right noble view then is a skill to be developed, and unremitting investigations of the states of mind, then would be the fulfillment of that skill. So that it's almost like things happen automatically. You get the ducks lined up in the row. Or when some musicians have learned a piece of music, all you need to do is to think about the first note of that song, and the rest of the song falls right into place. So sati is always the key. All we have to do is to wake up, and immediately we go into the investigation. Now, the third item on the list is also kind of strange, and this is part of the reason why it becomes confused, because so far we have two items on the Eightfold Noble Path that correspond with two items on the Sambojjhana. But the third item, it looks like that, wait a minute, something strange here, because the third item on the list of the eight steps of the Noble Path is right effort, to take the effort, to do something. And in the beginning, that's absolutely true. An example that I use sometimes is a child in a swing, and the child wants you to push. The first time that you push the child is the one that takes the most effort. After that, the child swings back, and then you push again, but not quite so hard. Pretty soon, you've got the child swinging very well, and all you have to do is just a little push. If you stop pushing, the swing will come to a stop. But so long as you keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing, it becomes quite effortless to keep it going until thoughts come in. Oh, my arms are getting tired. Oh, I don't want to do that anymore. But the pushing of the swing itself is kind of effortless. So the third item on the Sambojjhana then winds up being unremitting energy. When the effort is now developed as a skill, so that we're putting in the right effort, easily so that it actually is energetic. An example of that is just the thought, and it doesn't even have to be a fully formed thought, of coming back to the sati, coming back to the mindfulness, and already the body is breathing in. Doesn't take any effort the way that it used to. First thing that happens is a deep in breath. Why does that happen? It's because it's been programmed in as the next note in that piece of music. And so it becomes effortless, easy to do, easy peasy to just come back, easily come back whenever we need it, look at what's going on, and then take the easy way out. The really, really easy way out is the way that we go. In a way, none of ordinary society throughout the ages has ever wanted their religious people to be bums and layabouts. They want to put them up high on a status and say, oh, this guy's meditating ferociously and he's doing a good job at the religion and whatnot like that. And so, in a way, the Buddhist monks, all of these centuries, have kind of been fooling the people about how important it is to be a monk and all of that kind of stuff, when in fact, the real quality of a monk is to be lazy, to just don't care anymore. That's the only energy that we need, is the energy to don't care anymore. Because caring winds up being a lot of work. And so this is the third item on that list, is that the energy is just there. Easy to do. And it's unremitting, just like the sati, just like the investigation. The energy is there to do it. It's a habit. It's programmed in now. The next item on the list is also obscured by bad translation, using the word tranquility or tranquilized. But really, what we're talking about is a layabout, just being at rest. Just got no place to go and nothing to do. And yeah, Dad, if you want to have me to, if you want the yard mowed, go mow it yourself. I'm not going to go do that. That in fact, that's something that's very interesting is that even in the paddy monk, there is a rule that monks don't cut plants. And so they don't cut plants. So when Dad says to go cut the yard, go cut it yourself. I'm a monk. I don't cut grass. I take the easy way out. So this is the idea that both the energy is there, but the efforts of ordinary life are not. That we just kind of take it easy, laid back, have a good life for a while, unremitting, lazy, unremitting peacefulness, unremitting taking a day off. This is the way that it looks to Westerners. And they say, oh, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to enjoy your life by sitting around and having fun. You're supposed to work. Even Goenka tells his students, work. And the whole quality of the Buddha has to do with this Sambojjhanga coming in, unremitting effort or energy and unremitting relaxation. Unremittingly relaxed. Just take a load off. Okay, so that's 4, 5. Oh, I left out one. Slide that back a step. Okay, I left out number 4 in that list. And so we just did number 5. I slipped one out, so I'll slip it back in. And that is unremitting piti-sukha. And it's stated that way. Now, piti-sukha is actually a Pali word in and of and by itself. That it's only the Westerners who want to pick it apart and have the piti here and the sukha there. And in fact, in the Anapanasati Sutta, they are broken apart. But here in the Sambojjhana, they're shoved right back together. And that is unremitting joyfulness, unremitting pleasure, which is also, in a way, part of the unremitting right effort. Because now the effort of the energy to just do it is a hilarious laugh. But that's just it. I mean, what a trick this is to turn the entire world upside down to where now laziness and doing nothing is the highest ideal. The very highest quality that a human being can get is to become enlightened. And what does an enlightened person do? Absolutely nothing. Why? Because they don't give a flying rip about anything anymore. They've let all of that go with great big joy in the sense of figured it out, got it going this time, know what's going on. And so that unremitting joy is there, along with the unremitting effort that brings also about the unremitting peace, the laid back quality that is just nothing, but the world's just a hilarious joke. In fact, the entire universe is just a hilarious joke. And guess what? Each one of you is the punchline. To me, that's the punchline. And when you stop being me, then you can just enjoy the universe, because that's really what is. So, we've gotten 5 of the items now. The 6th one on the list is I would put unremitting mind of samadhi. And that is also on the Eightfold Noble Path of Sama area samadhi, the mind that's a samadhi mind. And we can spend a few minutes on this. What is the samadhi mind? What does the word samadhi actually mean? We found that the word that has been often translated as concentration is not a fitting um, description or translation of the word samadhi. That the example that we find in the sutta is a yurt or a tent. Anybody know what a yurt is? Mongolian tents? Okay, they have a ridgepole, one ridgepole, and then they have the walls around, but then each of the center ridgepole holds a piece of wood around in a circle, and those pieces of wood hold the walls up. Another example would be a Native American teepee, to where these long ridge folds are all tied off at the top. That would be the samadhi point. When things come together, they can be tied, and then at the other end, they can be spread apart. So the samadhi mind basically means a mind that has all of the factors gathered together. What are the factors? Well, there's several ways of looking at it. One would be the first jhana, because that's also used with the issue of both samatha and also samadhi mind. The first jhana means that we bring all of the factors together, which, by the way, two of those are the piti-sukha that we just talked about, the joy, the satisfaction, the elation that comes with being a winner. We have that plus the removal of the hindrances, which we were talking about before. And then the next item on the list for the first jhana is applied and sustained mind, that we apply it to the wholesome and then apply it to the wholesome again to sustain it, and then again sustain, and then again sustain. So we apply and sustain the mind to the wholesome, one wholesome thought after another after another. This then would be the samadhi of the first jhana. And it would also, if you understand it correctly, the mind itself is gathered together now because it's not scattered by any hindrances, and it's unified. What is it unified with? Or by, in fact, it's unified by sati, to remember, to look, and then to purify the mind with right effort, and then the joy of the satisfaction, the joy of success, the joy of I've got this, I can do this, I can clean the mind out. Okay, so that's both the piti and it is also the samma-sankappa. So when we bring right sati, right investigation, right effort together with that congratulations, and add that as the fourth ingredient, this is what brings the mind into unification. Just like the same issue, we're just looking at it differently. The first jhana brings the mind into that state of unification. So, as a factor of enlightenment, that means is that we have unremitting samadhi mind, unremitting organized mind, so that the mind is organized into the wholesome. Now, another way of talking about right noble samadhi mind is that it's a mind that's content. And if we are content, if we are satisfied, then we're very unlikely to hurt anybody, to get what we want, because we don't want anything. Very unlikely to rob a bank or rob anybody to get something that we want, because we don't want anything. In other words, at this level, we could say that the samadhi mind is what's needed in order for the precepts to be held correctly, or that our morality is top notch. Our morality is top notch only because the mind is also top notch. If the mind is down in the gutter, then our behaviors will go into the gutter also. And so having a mind, hello, Veda,
你好，
having the samadhi mind then and having it unremitting means that over and over and over again, the sati kicks in, the investigation kicks in, the joy kicks in, the energy kicks in, the peacefulness kicks in, and then the organization, the mind is good now. And so the last item on the list is the item of unremitting upekkhā. What is upekkhā? That's a Pali term that is often translated as equanimity. But equanimity would be, it's got some problems with it. A better way of talking about it and referring to it is dynamic balance, that you can remain balanced. But if you have a balance that you maintain when everything is easy and copacetic, then that balance that you've maintained is not going to work in the real world because the floor is going to be out from under you, and we have to learn to balance a different way altogether. An example of that would be a sea captain that is on a fairly large fishing boat that's out at sea in rough weather. And he can get from the bow to the stern. He's done it many times in rough weather, even though the deck of that fishing boat is just up and down. Now imagine that his uncle or some professor or landlubber comes onto that boat, and he's already having trouble getting out to sea, and then turbulent weather comes. And so when he's up at the bow of that boat with the captain, and the captain goes to the stern, this guy gets up and he thinks he's going to get to the stern. No, he's going to he's going to knock into the side. He may fall down. He have to grab some ropes to get himself back up. He may heave over the side. He may go over the side. Why? Because he doesn't have his sea legs. This is what we mean by upekkhā, is that we are actually developing mental sea legs. So let me give you a real life example of that. And that is a doctor. In fact, we could look at this from the perspective of the four Brahma Viharas, because upekkhā is there also. And so the doctor becomes a doctor because he cares about people. He has great love. And so he has metta, and he tends his patients with that. He also has compassion for them, but one of the dangers of compassion is that the doctor succumbs to the same illness that the patient gets. That happened a lot with COVID. It happens a lot with psychotherapists. Psychotherapists get sick with every disease, their mental problem that their clients bring in. That's compassion for you, right? But within the teachings of the Buddha, we got a better idea of compassion, and that is that imagine we're back on that boat and the guy did go over the side. What's the captain going to do? Is he going to go jump in the lake with him? No, he's going to throw him a life raft. Let the guy hold on to that life raft, and we're going to pull him back on board again. That's real compassion, is to help people get out of their funk. So when somebody's having a pity party, don't jump into their pity party. Oh, they're now, everything is going to be okay, and you're just feeling just as bad as they do. No, you got to wake them up, perk them up. Say, come on, guys, it ain't that bad. Let's have a dance. Get your mind off of it. Come out. Okay, so back to the doctor. The doctor's bedside manner, in fact, has possibly more to do with the curing of the patient than any medicine that he gives them. If he has a good bedside attitude, he'll have them dancing while they're still connected to all of that gear. But sometimes, by the way, what I've been talking about here is sympathetic joy, sympathetic vibration. Cheer people up. If you've got joy yourself, go cheer everybody else up. That's what really the whole process is. But the doctor, sometimes, in fact, it's guaranteed to happen, that people die. I don't know of any doctor that has been completely successful so that all the patients he's ever had are still alive. Doesn't happen that way. Every doctor loses every patient. Every doctor loses every patient. We all die. So if the doctor cares about that patient, then he's going to feel bad when the guy dies. In other words, when the deck of that fishing boat started going this way and that way, the doctor's there on his ass because he cares too much, and people will die. And this is actually, there's a term for it. It's called burnout. Have you ever heard of that term, burnout? This is what we're talking about, right? You don't get your way. You've got a profession, you're a cop, then you get burned out because you can't save the world. Psychologists, social workers, doctors, pharmacists, healthcare professionals, they all screw up every patient they've got. And they can't stand it because they don't have that balance that we're talking about. That's part of the equanimity, or the being able to handle any situation. Why? Because they're looking for that balance or that equanimity all by itself, to where here we're looking at the final item on the Sambojjhana. And it's all the other items on the Sambojjhana that allows us to have actually unremitting upekkhā, so that we can handle anything that comes by, even your own death, because that's going to happen. Are you ready for it? Can you meet your own death with a great big smile saying, "Hi, where you been? I thought you were going to be in San Francisco today. That's why I'm in Los Angeles." That's an old Muslim joke. And the joke is that this guy has a premonition that he's going to die, that he saw the specter of death. He was walking down the street, and all of a sudden, death is staring him right in the face. And he gets really scared, so he jumps on his horse, and he just rides and rides and rides way out into the desert until he finally finds a little old tree, and he plops down all tired and everything, and out behind the tree comes the devil and says, "I didn't think you was going to make it in time. There I saw you in town, and I was wondering, are you going to get here in time?" And yes, you did. So we can see that we don't know when death is coming. The question is, are you going to have the unremitting mindfulness to wake up, the unremitting investigation to check out what's happening, the unremitting energy to come up to scratch, so that you can take that last breath peacefully, happily, contentedly, with a samādhi mind, and just die happily. The Buddhists, by the way, they put a whole big thing about what is going to be your last mind moment. And I just showed you how to have the last mind moment, is by having these 7 factors of enlightenment right there when you need them. So let's practice. Let's practice this sati. Let's practice this waking up. Let's practice this thing, because that's where the through the practice, the repetitive practice, especially with the sati, is going to make it available to us when we need it the most. To wake up just in time. Wake up just when we need it. And the way that we're going to practice that is by, first off, the easiest possible thing we could do is just to watch this next thought. Is this thing worth having or what? And pretty soon we get pretty good at this. Keep watching. Is this thought worth having? If not, let's make an improvement. And then we say, got that one. Or maybe we wake up and we see the just thought that we just had was absolutely spot on beautiful. And then we can say, oh, yeah, that one was all right. That was a really good thought you had there, boy. So this is the way that we begin to treat ourselves. We nourish ourselves. We reparent ourselves with this quality of feeling good about what we're doing. So that's where these things of the Sambojjhana fit in together. Unremitting waking up, unremitting remembering to look at what we're doing, to be able to change things really easily, and then get a big kick out of it, and then relax. And then the mind comes together, then we can handle anything. And those are the 7. Let's go for them again. Remember to wake up. Take a look at what's going on. Get a big kick out of it, in the sense of, this is really easy to fix. And then when we do fix it, it's a great big hallelujah, congratulations, we got this thing wired, and then we can relax and take a break. And the mind comes together in this unified package. Then we can handle anything. That's the 7 factors of enlightenment. 7 factors of awakening. Because you're awake then. And all of these things have to be there. All of them are the 7 factors, but we're actually developing them. Right from the very beginning, we're developing sati. We're developing investigation. We're developing putting in the right effort. And then congratulating ourselves. So there's the joy. It's already built into the Eightfold Noble Path, but when we see it in connection to the Sambojjhana, we'll say, yes, now I see how all of that stuff fits together. Wow, this is great stuff. I can finally relax. I know what, that I don't have to do anything anymore, because it's just so easy. So, does anybody have any comments about this? Anybody, huh? Nobody.
Hi guys
Everybody.
again. I always it needs always a little time to process this program here. What I experience is that if I take care about the issues that are blocking the 7 factors of enlightenment, for example, let's say something I'm too attached to Maslow's pyramid part of satisfaction about women or satisfaction about love or whatever. That this is so wired up in the system that I don't see it clearly. I don't see the connections to all this other stuff. So I maybe am fine with not having sex. I may be fine with not engaging with women or something like this. Let's say from the very mundane perspective of Buddhism. Yeah. But this is why this stuff doesn't work or worked for me. It's so much more. It's complex. It's very complex, and at the same time, it's
No,
very easy.
it's not. You're missing
It's very
something.
easy.
The sati is missing there. Okay,
Exactly.
where is it missing? It's missing when you have the thought, oh, I want her, but now I've got a rule in Buddhism, I should not want her.
Exactly. This is what I wanted to get at. Right.
Right. And so you see, you need to wake up at that point and say, look, I have just created a conflict within my mind.
Yeah. But if you don't have the key to this particular mode you're in, the knowledge, just saying it or whatever you do, it's not fitting to the person's, to where the person is coming from. It doesn't fit. It doesn't open the door. You know?
Well, here's the thing.
If it doesn't
That
land.
is the thought of the girl. When the thought of the girl comes, how do you feel?
Or the thought of the meal, or the thought of the bicycle, or the thought of the whatever it is.
Yeah, the thought of whatever it is gives us the next thought of I want it, I like it, I want it. And now with the Buddha, you've got I like it, I want it, but I can't have it.
I could always see this. I could always work with this, but I couldn't completely see that it is a kind of a suppression. It's not engaging with it and changing it completely. It's just, you're just suppressing it if you're not completely mindful. If your mindfulness, your investigation, your energy, your raja, and all this stuff is not exactly how it's supposed to feel like, how it's supposed to be like in your system, it's not working.
Well, there's two possibilities with that, and I think both of them have to do with the fact that you're not seeing the dukkha that you're manufacturing. The thought of the girl does not create the dukkha. Wanting the girl begins to create the dukkha, but then if you have the, oh, but I'm Buddhist and I'm not supposed to want the girl, now you're in full conflict.
Boom.
Right? And you're the one who created that conflict because you made a rule that doesn't really exist. Okay? That in fact there was an episode where the Buddha did chastise a monk because he had sex with his wife, but that was not because of him and his lust. It was because she wanted a baby really badly because her husband is going off. I know that the world is different now, but that's how she wanted it. Even if I lose my husband, at least I can have a baby out of it.
Yeah.
So that's not the situation that you're in. So don't put that situation in the mix. Let's stay with, can you see the dukkha?
Can you see it? Can you wake up? Yeah, and what this exactly means for each and every person. That's the key point. How do you perceive this really? If you're deluding yourself about aspects of it, you're not fully seeing it.
Right. That's correct. So One of the ways that I would talk about this, when people ask, they actually ask, well, how do I know what's a wholesome thought and what's a not wholesome thought? And my answer to that is that this is a skill that you have to develop for
Develop.
yourself. There is no set of rules about all of this stuff 100% all the time is always unwholesome. And all of this stuff over here, no matter what, is 100% always wholesome. We can't make rules like that, right?
That's funny.
This is the basis of self discovery or to see what's there in the sense that one thought can be no problem with the dukkha. And the next time you have that same thought, there is dukkha associated with it. And can we see that dukkha? Can we see that we're making ourselves dissatisfied and then come back into a state of satisfaction?
It's
And
not
what we
even
do
about
is,
intelligence. It's not really even about intelligence. It's something different. It's
no, it's
I'm not.
basic, it's much basic, more basic than that. Okay, so
Yeah.
there is a bit of intelligence required in the sense of being willing to make change.
Mm,
But the dukkha is more basic than that. It's down into the
mm,
child. Okay,
mm.
it's the child who feels bad, and our superego or the parent will keep telling the child to shut up. You're not supposed to do that. Oh, somebody pushed a button. Yeah, can we undo that?
Now we're stoics again here.
Change screen. Let me see if I can do it. Somebody did that. Who did this? Airplane.
I changed it on my end, but I don't know if it changes for everyone.
No. And when I say change, oh, wait a minute, it's view probably.
Yeah, view and grid view or speaker or whatever.
All right, there it goes. Got it.
Question about the factors. Are these things to do or are these qualities that are developed? So some of them, like the upekkhā, it's a quality. It's not something you can do. It's something that,
Okay.
it develops. But the other ones, they kind of sound that they could be both.
All right. I answered that question right from the very beginning, but it's an important question. So let's go back to it. And that is remember that when we have the mind free from the hindrances, we still have all of these mind moments left over to do something with. Let's choose something wholesome. Okay. So reevaluating, and we could do it like this. Then, in fact, this is actually coming out of a sutta, number 111, one by one as they occur. But you could go and ask the question, how is my sati? How is it doing? How's it been in the past few minutes? Has it been sharp? Has it been dull? How about the hindrances? How am I doing with the hindrances? Okay, or investigate the mind that way so we can actually review it with our wholesome thoughts about how have we been doing. How is my ability to apply the mind to the wholesome? How is my ability to sustain that? And so these are the kind of questions that can be asked. But we're not really asking these as investigative questions. We're actually just doing an investigation. And so we check out the sati, we check out the investigation, we're checking out the um, how is the effort? Is the effort so easy that it's almost energetic, almost like a jack in the box just pops out of the box when it's time to do it? All you have to do is turn it until it says "pop goes the weasel" and out comes Jack. That's the kind of effort that we want to put in. Is our effort is done over and over again until it comes right automatic. So that would be so a way that you could say that then is as you're waking up, keep track of how you're waking up. How's your sati? How's your investigative skills? How's your right effort? How is your joy? Can you bring up that piti? Can you bring up that sukha? Can you actually talk yourself into feeling comfortable, secure, safe? Can you make yourself feel satisfied? Can you look at the sequence of I like it, I want it, I gotta have it, in the sense of, well, wait a minute, I like it and I want it, but I don't have to have it. I'll be okay without it. Then we come back to I like it and I want it, but wait a minute, I don't really want it so much. I could just stay with liking it. Wow, she's so beautiful, but I don't want her. Oh, wow, that Lamborghini is a really, really beautiful car, but I don't want it. No thanks. And so we begin to live our life that way, is appreciating the things that we really like. Before, we weren't allowed to like things because if we like it, then we want it and we're going down the sewer with it. But can you actually stop it at the point to where you really, really like it? And that's enough. Yeah, $15 worth of makeup on that face. It's a beautiful face, but I don't want to take it home. Or that itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini is beautiful. It hides all the right stuff in just the right way, but I don't want it. I could do without it. I'm already okay. So this is the way that we start to practice with those 7 factors of enlightenment, is to recognize at that level that, hey, I'm okay without it. I'm satisfied without it. I'm good to go without it. That's real joy, is to recognize that, yeah, that thing is so beautiful, I just don't want it. And so we keep going back to these um, wholesome mind moments, back to the wholesome over and over and over again. Yeah, I like it, but I don't want it. Yeah, I like it and I want it, but I don't really have to have it. Or another way of using that language is, I don't care about it that much. Yeah, I care for her, but I don't care that much. I care about that fire, but not enough to stick my hand in it. And you'd be surprised at how often fire makers get burned because they care about that fire too much. So we want to cultivate not caring so much, not caring at all. Leave that instinctual liking, that feeling of, wow, that's really nice. But that's enough. I don't have to reproduce it. I don't have to take it home. I don't have to cultivate it. I don't have to do anything except just like it. So that's one of the things that we can do in those mind moments of when a delightful thing comes up, we can say, what kind of thought am I going to have? Am I going to have a thought of, oh, that's nice, but I don't want it? Or is it going to be the thought of, oh, I got to have that thing? And so these are the kind of ways that we evaluate our thoughts. And in fact, almost all of this caring or craving that we do fits into 4 classifications. We talked about it at length yesterday on the UK Sangha, or excuse me, the US Sangha, about the 4 modes of clinging. And the point about the 4 modes of clinging is that you can begin to identify what kind of clinging you have. Is this clinging that I'm doing because of some rule that I've been following all of these years, or not following, but I carried the rule around anyway? Is this because of my belief system? Is this because of my material possessions, to the things that I cling to? Is this because this is not who I think I am? A really good example, by the way, at Reddit is really skillful at helping with this. You know, Reddit, that's where they criticize everything. Yeah, everybody criticizes everything. So all you have to do is just post something like, I like that, and they're going to start criticizing you. Okay, the question is, who are they criticizing? Because they don't even know you. They're criticizing something already within their own mind. So you can read that criticism that's got your name on it, but do you have to own it and say, oh, that's me. I'm going to make myself a target just so that this criticism can hit me and I'll feel ouch?
The
Or
Jordan Peterson learning curve.
what is that? Tell us.
The Jordan Peterson learning curve.
Uh-huh.
That's the public viewing of Jordan Peterson's life in the media. Do you know Jordan Peterson?
I know that he plays. He's got tennis shoes or something. No basketball shoes.
No. That's Michael Jordan. Jordan Peterson is a clinical psychologist, I think, and an author. And he is well known for being, let's say, the voice of the intellectual saving imbeciles. Something like in lines of this.
The intellectuals doing what? Taking pills?
He's something like the intellectual voice for a whole generation of, let's say, young men who are not able to get rid of their conditioning.
Oh.
So they are more feminine and not really masculine, and all this conditioned stuff, and women are more masculine and then feminine nowadays, and so on and so on and so on. And he is well known for being he's a university professor, and had a debate a couple of years ago, and that ignited a whole tsunami of media attention, and he made a complete career out of this, and now he's a spokesperson for stuff. So his learning curve represents what you're talking about.
Okay.
You know,
one of the things that I will comment about, basically what you were saying, is that right now, here today, the society is at a particular condition and situation than it was not 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 30 years ago. And upon we're looking at it from the position of the Buddha, right now the way that society is not the way that it was 20 minutes ago. That things are changing, okay? And that when we are born into a particular generation, we think that that generation is the way that things are. But in fact, we keep doing the same samsara cycles in our society and in our governments over and over and over again. In fact, Plato was really, really down on democracies. And now we're really, really up on democracies. Except that democracies have a particular problem, and that is whoever gets in power wants to stay in power. And so it winds up being a contest of who's the most greedy and slimeball. And that's what a democracy is. And the United States has had one hell of a mess for the past 200 years because of their democracy. They can't figure out what they want to do, just so long as it's not what we've already done. And so if we understand it like that everything is in long, long cycles, can you begin to put together to see that those cycles are there rather than worrying about what section of what cycle society is on right now? Like looking at the Democrats and the Republicans and who does what back and forth. Guess what? That back and forth is going to continue along just like it's always continued along. And one may be up for a while and then somebody else is up for a while and things keep changing. Can we get a load of those cycles so that we're not hamstrung by them, by caring where we are in one particular cycle or another?
Is it a because out of my own experience, I see my development differently. If I would find the key entrance points for the Dhamma we are practicing here and trying to, or let's say trying to practice, then I couldn't progress in the way I progress. So I have to deal with the worldly aspects of this whole pile of Gomayang to entrance the real Dhamma.
Right.
What would you say about it?
It's a matter of getting the rhythm and then learning to dance. Okay? If you're aware of that deck, of that fishing boat that's going up and down like that, then you can dance your way all the way to the stern. That's the idea that we're learning about here, is that we need to learn to dance other than resist what society is doing.
While the ship is going down.
Yeah, while the ship's going down, and I mean, I'm one of the musicians, right, on the Titanic. I'm gonna be playing the cello while the ship goes
Yeah,
down,
yeah, yeah,
boy.
yeah. Exactly, exactly.
So,
They knew what to do. They just
mhm,
played.
yeah, I just play. So, uh, because what's a celloist going to do about a big ship like the Titanic going down? The captain can't do anything about it. The crew can't do anything about it. What's a cello player going to do? And so, if we
Ah,
recognize
that's
that
it.
the society, yeah, the society is going down the tubes right now, but it'll surface again later. Don't worry too much about it.
Mm, worry.
Don't worry about it. I mean, it's just a game. And besides that, but if you worry about it, you're probably still not going to do enough worrying or do anything other than making yourself ill. And you're not going to be able to change society anyway. But in fact, the only people who can change society are those who care about something or another a whole lot more than any of us do. They really, really care. They've got to have it their way. And now you
What is
multiply
with
that by 300 and 500 people, and every one of them is bound to determine that they've got to have it my way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What is
Have
with the
nothing but a
people
cat
who
fight.
don't have any way? What's with them? They think they have. They work. They do this. They do that. But they don't even realize that they are. They have no idea what mess they are in.
Well, nobody knows what the future's going to bring.
Mm.
So why don't we eat, drink, and be merry? For tomorrow we might die. Who knows what the future's going to be? Let's enjoy this moment because there's a whole lot of people out there that actually could do something about it, but they're so stoked up and worried about it and fighting with each other that they don't bother to actually fix the problem. And thus, we're nowhere near the problem. We can't fix it. The question is can you just sit down and enjoy the fact that you can't do anything about it, rather than worrying about something that you can't fix? The
Worrying about the
only
worry.
the only thing that you can fix is that which is broken between your ears. That's the only thing that we can fix. So let's not care about fixing society. That in fact, if you fix between your ears, then you wouldn't care about society at all. Let them go do what they want to do. I don't have to fix them too, but I'll smile at them. If they'll smile back, then we can take care of that. But the whole point is don't try to fix anything that you don't own. And we don't really own much of anything except our own thoughts and our own mind. And so let's fix that and get ourselves into a state of being able to enjoy society. It's not a bad thing after all. It's just a whole lot of people want to fix it. Some people want to fix it really, really badly, and the only way that they can express how badly that they want to fix it is by complaining about how bad they think it already is. And they're
There
just
we go.
confused. There's nothing wrong with society. It's okay like it is. I mean, aren't you all? You've got clothing. You're in a room someplace, so you've got a little bit of safety and security. Nobody here is out on the street permanently,
I see one without.
huh?
I see one without clothing.
Yeah, but you ain't seen nothing yet. There's nothing to it. So, um, we have been actually taught this way to think that something's broken, and it's our job to fix it. And the ultimate thing that's broken is society itself. I mean, look at global warming, wars in this country and that country. But in fact, some country or another has been at war with some other country or another on a regular basis for as long back in history as we know anything. I mean, even in the times of Sumers, we still have battle scenes. Humans have not been able to get along with each other for such a long time. And all you're doing when you try to fix society is just joining that battle. And
Yeah.
so that's the way of looking at it. Remember to take a look at what you're doing and recognize that almost all of our political thoughts make us feel dissatisfied. Very rarely do we have a feeling of liking about what's going on. And that's especially true at election time. The U.S. has got an election coming up, and everybody is freaked out. Everybody thinks that they're going to lose, that nobody's coming out the winner that anybody believes. Even the guys who say, I'm going to win this, they don't believe it. And so they're all in a pity party about the politics. Well, guess what? When the voting is counted, some are going to win some and some are going to lose some. If you are a member of a particular party, let's say you're a Democrat, on election day, you're going to find plenty of stuff to feel bad about. Never mind the good stuff, but you're going to find plenty enough to feel bad about. If you're a Republican on voting day, you're going to feel plenty to feel bad about. Never mind the good stuff that you feel. We don't look at that. We want to feel bad. But if you have the position of everything's going to work out just fine, it's not my job to pick winners or losers. It's not my job to cling to one or the other so that you wind up. It doesn't matter who wins or who loses in which competition. You're the winner because you don't care. And so you're
Are
good to
there
go, no matter who wins or loses.
are there certain things I can look out for to identify rules better? Rules I'm making in my system?
Well, whatever you do, notice that you're doing it because of disliking, that you want to fix something, that you care about something, want to fix something.
What am I doing? What
I
am
don't
I
know.
doing right now?
What are you doing right now? I don't know. I don't care. Do you care?
Rhetorical question.
Well, recognize when we cling to things or care about, and one of the things that we care about that we're taught to care about in our societies is politics. And look at how much dukkha, how much dissatisfaction, not just you, but everybody that you know that cares about politics, they suffer.
I'm from Germany.
Well, you've got a lot to suffer for right now.
Yeah, a lot of baggage.
A lot of baggage out there, and people are carrying it around and all over the place. And all you have to do is wear your smile out on the street and start helping some of those poor baggage carriers. Because you know why they're carrying all of that baggage? They carry it because they care. If they didn't care, they'd set it down and walk away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what we're doing, the easy way out is to just do that with every thought of caring. Just set it down and be okay.
What if I don't?
Care
What
about
if I don't
painful.
completely see the dukkha?
Hmm?
Is there something to make it more appealing for the system to see the dukkha completely, or is it do I have to investigate this for myself to make it really smooth?
All right, here's the answer to that. If you see somebody, let's use something that can be seen, like an arrow or maybe a spear. If you see somebody who has thrown a spear directly in your direction, spears travel pretty slowly. Even an ordinary person can get out of the way of a spear if they see it coming.
Yes.
Or do you want to actually experience that spear, really get a load of how much it does hurt if it hits the right place?
Now I remember. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Or do you want to avoid it without it hitting you? This is the real teaching of the Buddha: is recognize it early and get out of its way.
So we're in a state. We are permanently, or almost permanently, in a state of getting shot not by a spear but by an arrow.
Mm-hmm.
We think we're incapable of seeing what comes our way, and this is why we're
We're
blocking ourselves.
capable of seeing it. We're just not
Yeah, we're
capable of
capable, but we
recognizing
think
it as dangerous.
we think that we are not capable because we're told to be victims. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I mean.
Okay, right. So we're supposed to not look because you can't do anything about it anyway. And the whole teaching of the Buddha is wake up and look at the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune headed towards you right this very second so that you can play dodge just like they do on Matrix. Get out of the way and do so quickly enough so that you don't get shot. And I know that that's not the Mahasi method. They want you to get shot and tortured over and over again so you really know what dukkha is. And I'm
Yeah,
saying,
this
no,
is
we only need to know that, hey, man, that might hurt if it hits me. Let me get out of the way.
how Jesus' passion got into this is incredibly is incredible. I don't get how this could happen. I don't get it.
Well, there is that whole quality built in of if you suffer enough for your transgressions, then you will get forgiveness. This is
Magical
built right
thinking.
into our language, like the word sorry. How often do you use the word sorry when you really don't want to be sorry or feel sorry, but you say it in order to salve the situation, try to make it better? Or if it's a real apology, we'll grovel, oh, I am so sorry, because we want them to not beat us. We've already suffered enough already. Time in jail is served is enough punishment. Let me out of here.
And praise on the other side.
hmm Now, the funny thing about it is that in Thai language, the expression that they use in the Thai language is ko tut. Now, ko
Tut.
has to do with the word of hitting or beating or doing something, and tut is the Thai word for your
My
butt.
but
So katut means beat my butt. And instead of saying sorry, don't beat me, the Thai language is come on, beat my ass.
do they already bend over like physically, or
No,
do
it's
they just
just to
say
come
it?
and why, just like
Okay.
that. This is enough. Yeah, just to do it already.
Showing it already.
uh, and so this quality that we're talking about of feeling sorry for or feeling bad about something that's happened in society, because we're supposed to do it. We're supposed to feel responsible for all the ills in the world. I mean, look at it this way: if only the Pharaoh of ancient Egypt wanted a pyramid, would there be any pyramids?
It's very interesting.
There would not be any pyramids if only a pharaoh wanted a pyramid. No, so what he has to do is he's got to go talk to the priest, get them priests teached in there. In fact, it was probably the priest that gave him an idea that he wanted a burial pyramid anyway,
Yeah.
so that they could make some money off of it. And so now he's got to go get 20,000 people all together during the times when they're not planting harvest or whatever like that and put them to work for 20 years to get a pyramid done, right? What
And
a bunch
hopefully
of
enjoying
idiots.
it.
Have you seen it? I mean, the damn thing's falling apart after 4,500 years. It didn't last at all. It used to be, white slate and all kinds of stuff.
Did they enjoy it for themselves, or would it be psychological, treated into liking
I
it?
would imagine that a few people did enjoy it. For
Mm.
instance, the taskmasters, the one who was down there with the whip, he was enjoying.
Yeah,
I don't think
exactly.
everybody else was so much.
Yeah.
Um, so, if we could find a way of wrapping this conversation up, we started off with the seven factors of enlightenment and how we put that together with the Eightfold Noble Path, that they're not separate things. One is the process we're going through, and the other one, the seven factors of enlightenment, are in fact the factors that go into that state of being that has the samadhi mind and the upekkhā, as well as the peace, the joy, the energetic way of looking at things in an unremitting way. So another way of talking about it is that if you want a good, clear definition of what is enlightenment, look at these seven factors because they work together. And the first one is the unremitting sati. That's the one that has to keep coming back over and over again. The rest of them almost fall in line. So if we practice that way over and over and over again, we'll be developing that skill. And one of the main skills that we talked about was, can you identify dukkha as dukkha? Can you see it as dukkha? And can you see it as dukkha long in advance before it hits you? Can you tell that that rock is a hot rock before you pick it up? That's wisdom. And how do you know whether it's hot or not before you pick it up? Just look at what somebody else is doing with that rock. That'll give you a good idea. And so this is the wisdom that we bring into that, is the investigation over and over and over and over again. So we begin to pick up patterns. This is where the adult comes in. This is what wisdom is really all about, is how are things headed? What direction are things pointed in? Never mind actually what's going to happen. An example of that would be from my childhood. I went hunting one time, and there was this old man out there with a shotgun, double-barreled shotgun, and he had it under his left arm, draping over his left forearm. So he had it out, dressed like this, right? And everywhere he went, that gun was pointing at somebody's knees. And nobody liked to have that guy around because he was not operating that shotgun very well. And they told him all about it. And I remember that. I was about 14 at the time. And now I'm using that as an example of what is wisdom, is watching which direction the guns are pointed. Whatever kind of gun it is, look at which direction your mind is pointed. Look at whichever direction the conversation is heading. That we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we can certainly know that if you have that shotgun pointed directly at you, when it goes off, guess where it's going to hit? And so we have to start watching how things are headed, which way things are pointing. And that way we can head things off at the pass or do all kinds of things in advance. So in this regard, we're beginning to understand that dukkha is not something that we want to deal with after it's already gotten the mind. We want to see it coming so that we can play dodgeball with it, get out of the way of it. Even if I have to do the two-step to get my kneecaps out of the direction of that shotgun. Or the other expression is the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Most of the time, we stand there as a target to let it hit us. The teaching of the Buddha is to see those slings and arrows of outrageous fortune head in this direction so we can take cover. Move out of the way. And most often, those slings and arrows of outrageous fortune are our own thoughts anyway. So be careful. You could go so far as to say it's a jungle in there. Wakey, wakey, pay attention. There is dukkha, and if we could see it in advance, then it can't get us. See where it comes from. Where does it come from? Our own greed, our own ignorance, our own desires and wanting things that we don't have. We know that already. So if you like something, say, ha ha, that's enough. Just liking it is all I have to do. I don't have to want it. Because if I want something I don't have, that's dukkha. So you can go look at that pretty girl or all the girls you want to. Just make sure that you don't want one of them. Because that's dangerous. So does anybody have, how about, Tinon, you have something to say about our talk today?
I really enjoyed it, but I'm too lazy. I'm going to play dodgeball on the questions.
Okay, right. That's the best answer I've heard all night. Yes, sir, do you have anything to say?
I got nothing.
Got nothing. How about you, Christoph?
Really enjoyed the talk. It was inspiring.
Yes, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
light your fire, to go burn the place down. Then we won't have anything to do at all. How about you, Carl? You still with us? Yeah, he's coming. He's not.
We saw you on mute, but didn't hear anything.
Yeah, he clicked his mic off and on. This there he goes. Now it's on again. Well, never mind. Everybody's on mute. One of the things that I'd like to finish up on is that I don't know if any of you have heard about it, but there's this organization that we've got going called OSF, Open Sangha Foundation, and that it's moving along. But we could use some volunteers if you've got a few minutes of your time each week or want to get involved with it. I would really appreciate that. It's on the Skype, so you could look for the Sangha OSF. Find out what's going on in case nobody knows already. And there's several things that we can use. If any of you are watching a lot of videos, then one of the things that we would like to do is to find some 5-minute to 7-minute clips that we could clip and just present that rather than like this call has gone already an hour. And yet there's some of it is more valuable than others. Can we go clip out 5 or 7 minutes that would be useful to put out other places? And
What
so
would be the quality grid for
you like it? You like
please?
it. If you find something that you like, a section that we have that you like, that would be enough. Okay.
All right.
5, 7, 10 minutes, something like that, a little clip. And I understand that it's not really hard to do those clips. I'm an old dog in computers, but clipping videos I haven't done much of.
So old.
So anyway, I invite you all to come look at what we're doing, get involved, a lot of talking and whatnot like that. We're getting a website together and looking for content and that sort of thing. So if you want to do some writing about your experiences with Anapanasati or something, then 500 to 1,000 words would be good.
Every day.
Can you do? I don't think the website can tolerate that much stuff, but just, one time.
A little bit.
So anyway, thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. This has been a good talk today.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.